YouTube, good evening. I just made a video inside the Kmart. One of the workers did ask me to stop filming, but he wasn't quite like the guy that I encountered a week or two ago. It's kind of funny as you know, all of a sudden when I filmed inside these places, they honestly never gave two shits about if you really filmed before. But all of a sudden, now that they're going out of business, it's like they don't want you to see what's really going on and why their business is failing. I showed several examples of why their business is failing massively. They don't even know how to do a going out of business sale correctly. I mean, can it be any more obvious why Kmart is dying? And it's just, you know, and why these workers who are lazy are sticking up for a dying business. I'm like, this guy, I told him, go work for P&G. You'd be making $400, $450 a week. You ain't even making part-time. You know, it's kind of funny. One of my regular subscribers, who I'm with one right now, and another one of them who I'm also friends with, he said the only reason why workers at a Kmart store are staying until they try and close this so they could be lazy and get unemployment.
Pretty much.
And why else?
Really makes sense.
And you know, they have no business getting unemployment, people. You got Kroger's that just had a job fair here a couple weeks ago. You got P&G about 2 miles away. They are about 300 or 400 workers short.
Right.
This store is so horrible, they don't even know how to do a going out of business sale. Look at their prices, people. A 3-month freaking liquidation. They're barely discounting stuff. So I'm like, what's the point of even having a going out of business sale when you can't even freaking run your store? So, you know, I don't care what anybody says. I will come back at any time I want to film. They can't do nothing.
Yeah, all I can do is tell you to stop filming, and if you don't, ask you to leave.
Yeah.
And that's about
so
it.
it's I mean, like
they could call the cops. And,
cops ain't gonna really.
No, they're not gonna care.
Not for something like that. The cops will be.
Tell you to leave. At that point, you probably should leave.
Yeah. it's like you know, YouTube. The stupidity of Kmart is on such full display. It's plenty obvious this dinosaur needs to be buried. And for people that are begging and groveling, oh, please don't close this particular store. I'm like, why the hell do you care about a dying, broke-ass business? They don't even know how to run a freaking going out of business sale. It's, you know, Andrew, it's kind of like, you know, I compare it to what Jim Cornette said about this one wrestler. He couldn't even freaking draw a $1 bill if you gave him a freaking green crayon. Yeah. Kmart can't even freaking draw $1 on how to freaking do a going out of business sale.
You know, it was basically a dinosaur. It was big in the 70s.
It was big through the 80s, part of the 90s. And for the last 15, 20 years, it's been going downhill. And people got to understand, get this through your head. Stop blaming Walmart and other one-stop shopping. They had it, when Walmart opened up their first supercenter, back in 1988, which I don't know if you knew that or not. It was in the town called Washington, Missouri, March of 1988, which is just outside of St. Louis. They should have been put on notice to realize, get into one-stop shopping. They had their chance to adapt, but the slide is getting so bad right now. Kmart has failed to adapt with Walmart. They failed to adapt with other one-stop shopping, including some of the Targets that have one-stop shopping. Myers, which is a regional store around the Great Lakes. They failed to adapt to the dollar stores, which there's tons of. The dollar stores, people, have every bit as big of a hand why stores like Kmart are going under too. Because even in well-off, affluent areas, you see them like you do in poor ghetto areas. Yeah. And they failed to adapt to online retail, so this could be the year where Kmart's company just goes RIP completely. And to have this stupid store parading around on town, and they only got maybe like 50 or 60 cars in the parking lot, which I could almost guarantee you, when me and my friend were coming up to Englewood earlier, the parking lot at Myers had like at least 400 cars, and probably Walmart's probably got that many people. People see this store for what it is, and Kmart as a dead dinosaur. Can it be any more plainly obvious? They barely have a presence in most major markets around the U.S. And to parade around this stupid sign, get real, people. They're making themselves look like a jackass. I mean, I've talked about in other videos, like how they barely have any stores in most major markets in the state of Ohio, also the state of Indiana, and Wisconsin, Milwaukee, only 2 area stores, and the state in general around 12 or 13. So they got a lot of, the only major markets where Kmart really has a presence, and this is only for the time being, is around Cleveland and Akron. But even then, check this out. 2 local stores, even in that area, closed in Lorraine, Mentor, and Ashtabula. So even then, even a stronghold like Cleveland, their last really stronghold market within driving distance of their company headquarters, even Pittsburgh, they're closing about 3 area stores there. So they are losing their grip even on what last remaining major markets within driving distance of their company headquarters that they had a presence. So, you know, those that want to, you know, defend this dinosaur, get real, people. Kmart fucked Kmart. Nobody killed Kmart except Kmart. Not Walmart, not dollar stores, not online retail. Kmart killed Kmart because they didn't adapt to the times when they should have seen Walmart as a growing threat, when they could have combated the threat, or at least tried to have matched them in the early 90s and through the 90s by adapting to one-stop shopping. They failed and chose not to. And you know, one thing, and I certainly be interested in my friend to jump in on this, I talked about this, you know, when the video I made last week from here. They having a store like this as an anchor store hurts everybody, because it hurts your redevelopment potential. Well, yeah. Shopping centers depend on their ability of anchor tenants to draw. If you don't have a good, strong anchor tenant, now Marion's Pizza does really good. That's probably the only other big draw up here. If you don't have a strong anchor tenant, the shopping center becomes worthless. I spoke with a lady that lives in this town, and she was telling me that it's going to be very hard for them to redevelop this potential. So, you know, the commercial real estate developers really need to ask themselves this much. Instead of these stores riding out their leases, bite the bullet and try and come to a settlement and try and get rid of the store, instead of them riding out their lease and devaluing the whole shopping center, because you cannot survive when a store runs it down. So, you know, I really think commercial real estate developers really need to start looking at these stores, like the store in Beaver Creek next year. Some people say it does okay business. It doesn't do that good of business. It's no different than this one is. They're all dying dinosaurs. So the landlord should really ask himself, and you know, the green is in a far much better location than this. There's no excuse why the landlord should be putting up with them stay until March when that's in a good location. They really need to consider shutting down and trying to come to a settlement to get them away from their struggle with stores, so then that way they're not hurting everybody that's around. Exactly. And I certainly would be interested if you jump in on this, if you want to say anything about that too, because it hurts when you have an anchor like this that is struggling.
Honestly, since, you know, the documentation of Kmart's demise is more your specialty than mine, I'd say that you've covered everything adequately.
Oh, yeah.
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 And there's very little I can contribute.
Yeah. But we all know, well, let's say this much. Let's say this much. I will end this video with a little quote. Everybody knows, like, quote from Ric Flair, "Ooh, Kmart is the best failure going today." Woo!